But okay. All right. So let's give ourselves some moments here to get in a position that is both relaxing and yet supportive, right? You want to, when you're sitting, you want to have the way you're sitting inside your pelvic floor support the whole rest of your body, right? And when we tilt forward a little bit with the sits bones, then that little bit of an angle, we can kind of straighten up around that. And it's like our back can sit more comfortably in the pelvic floor. At least that's how it works for me. So may not work for everybody that way, but to try and find a position where how you're sitting is supporting your upper body in such a way that your upper body can relax. And as you begin to move into that, bring your awareness to your jaws. See if your jaws are how are they doing? How tight or relaxed might they be? And then relax them, just drop them, and notice how your whole torso, therefore your whole body, relaxes when you relax your jaw. It's such a great little tip to have at the ready when we want to be more grounded and more centered. And now bringing your awareness to your breathing, the feeling of your breathing in your body. And the feeling of the let go, the feeling of release. Breathing in is the buildup. Holding on to that breath gives us the awareness of that tension that gets built up, and then we let go. And feel that relaxing. This time when I did it, I noticed that my jaw relaxed first, like it's almost like the relaxation response started in my jaw and then moved all the way down to the pelvic floor. So you might notice that as you do this again. Of course, part of that, as I do it again, is because I've, for a very long time, done the 3-part yoga breath, right, where you breathe in the lower part of your lungs or your belly, and then into your chest, and then finally up into the clavicles. And I guess I've done it enough that I've habituated that. So now when I'm doing these deep breaths, that's how I'm breathing without thinking of it. It's become automatic with a deep breath, deep conscious breath, I should say. And then feel how you are feeling differently in your own body. How your body's beginning to feel differently within your field. How everything is responding to relaxing. Everything in your body and in your field is responding to this conscious, deep, releasing breathing that you're doing now. From your lungs, of course, your heart, your brain, they're all coming into more coherence, more resonance, slowing down. Your skin, all your sensorium, ears, eyes, taste, smell. The muscles and the organs, bones, the connective tissue, all the cells, all the interstitial fluid. All the way down into the DNA, the RNA and the DNA, the mitochondria. Giving yourself this sacred pause here now. Feeling how good it feels. My own awareness right now is, wow, it feels like it's a long time since I've done just this. And this feels so good. You might want to roll your neck a little bit, roll your shoulders. Old spent energy piles up in those places pretty quickly. Drop your jaw again. Just get that energy moving. From your high heart, or even your heart up until above your throat chakra. Isn't it funny how between the throat chakra and the third eye are like four of our, or all of our main ways of sensing other than touch, right? So our eyes, our ears, our olfactory system, and taste, right? Right. Are all right there. That may seem like a very obvious thing to you, but it's the first time I've thought, oh, I think that's kind of strange. I don't know why that is, but every creature alive is kind of like that. So there must be a reason. Anyway, I digress. And check in. Let's do a body check, body scan. Well, being scan. So check into your physical self. See what you notice about how your physical self is today. What stands out? What is calling to come into more balance? Nice deep breath. And now let's check into our emotional selves. What kind of feelings and emotions are we having? What wants to come into more balance today? And then with your thoughts, the cognitive self. Think back, let yourself remember back to what are some of the thoughts you've had today. I was talking with someone earlier who talked about net neutral, getting to net neutral with his finances, meaning, he didn't owe anything, right? Owned his car, owned his home, didn't own anything, net neutral. And wanting to move, and well, not wanting, he's already moving beyond net neutral. But we ended up using that for a metaphor for getting to net neutral with our emotions and our thoughts, which is a variation of the Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins. So that we need to have more positive energy than we do heavy energy, let's say, to be able to move forward. And so net neutral is that place where there's a balance, at least a balance. But with our emotional and our mental, every part of our own well-being, we want to continue to keep growing ourselves, maturing ourselves, healing ourselves, expanding ourselves to higher and higher levels above net neutral, which emotionally, or in terms of beliefs, we might call acceptance. Actually, that's slightly higher than net neutral. But just to have a feeling. How much am I coming into acceptance with what is? Where are all the aspects of my life that I have come into acceptance with what is? And where would I like to grow that capacity? That presence, that quality. And then look into your relational self. What are you noticing about your relationships with yourself? Let's start with that. Let's start with you. How good are you being to yourself? How are you being good to yourself? How might you not be as loving to yourself or as good to yourself as you'd like to be? And other relationships. How are the other important relationships in your life? And of course, part of this is how are you in those relationships? How are others showing up in those relationships? And how does that meeting feel? I know there can be very complicated answers to that, but we're just feeling into it. We don't have to have words. Your relationship with spirit, your relationship with the earth, right? With all living beings. Have you thanked the trees outside of your house for their beauty and their shade and the gifts they give to the bird world? For example. and your spiritual relationships, your relationship with your own spirit, with the universe. Do you feel more or less supported by the universe than you were before? Connected, aligned, open. And what is it that wants to come into balance in those areas? Then take a couple of deep breaths. And as you're breathing out this time, breathe out the feeling, the sensation of the imbalances that you felt as we went through this. Continue to move all of that activated disharmony out. And from this point, ask yourself, what might be one of the most important things for you to work on? And try, instead of figuring it out, to let it emerge. Where's your awareness going? Where is it landing or hovering around? What did you find yourself thinking as I began to direct you to this? What came up for you as we went through the scanning? Whatever this is, see how it feels in your body now. It's likely a pattern, maybe a moment, but moments are likely parts of patterns too. And what would you like to release? How would you like to feel better or differently about this situation, about this pattern? And then let's move to the core. Go to the part of this that feels the worst. It's the most upsetting to you, or the most frustrating, most whatever the emotions are. Go there. Try and go to the core. And you might find some resistance. I'm reminded of working with a client earlier this week when you're getting really very close to the core of something that was going on for her. And she said, I'm starting to get angry at you. And she had enough presence to recognize that it was a part of her being to feel like, oh, you're too close. You're too close to what doesn't feel good. So I'm going to attack. I'm going to protect and attack. So you might notice some resistance to me or to you or to the idea or anything right now. And if you do, remember to reassure this part of yourself. So it's scared or it's defensive, trying to take care of you. And so reassuring that you're okay. Thanking this part, all the parts, for doing what they're doing to try to help you live your life in the best way they know how, which often has to do with being protective, which is not the fullest way to live a life. So helping them to realize that they're safer than they feel, and there are wondrous opportunities for all of us in ways we can open to life. Child parts need to know that too, even if they don't believe it. All right. Notice what you're experiencing now in your body. Where's their tightness? Where's their tension and constriction? Perhaps even where is there a feeling of numbness? You know, where are you not in touch in your body? Where are you not feeling is important information too. Let yourself feel all the different messages that your body begins to send you as you're asking this question. For example, I'm suddenly noticing my heartbeat, or maybe like a little bit of throbbing up in the right side of my head, from my nose to my temporal lobe. I feel a kind of heaviness in my throat, my shoulders. Tiny little bit of soreness in my arms and tingling through most of my body, not right around my hip, maybe especially the one that's hurt, but both of them. So some of it is physical, some of it is whatever might be being triggered in me as we go through this. And I say that just to support you in perhaps feeling a little deeper into what's happening in your own body. And so let's start at the sore spots. So even though I'm feeling this, even though I'm at least mostly ready to heal this, I might still be a little uncomfortable about it. Might still feel a little resistance. Maybe a little worry. Maybe a little doubt. So I'm going to love myself and support myself anyway. So even though I experienced this painful thing probably over and over and over again in my life, perhaps I've not found a way to change it or change it up enough. I'm going to love, accept, and forgive myself. Even though I feel like I'm touching this deep place inside, well, it's good that I'm touching this deep place inside. And even though this deep place inside is still holding pain, perhaps more pain than I can imagine, I am going to love myself and feel better now. Top of your head. So feeling this, whatever it is, words, sensation, of course, about emotions, physical awarenesses, eyebrows. This, feeling this. On the sides of your eyes, feeling the pain of this. Parenthetically, I want to say that what's coming to me is to say that I so often skip over this pain. I so often have a way of navigating around this, that it makes me a little skittish to let myself really feel and go to this pain. But I choose to trust that it is safe for me to do this. Under your eyes. This pain might be really sharp, might feel like it's really deep and pervasive, almost like a layer of the soil or the subdermis of the skin. Down there underneath. Might be a good time for a nice deep breath to breathe out some of that old stagnant energy and pain above your lips. This old pain, this old pattern, this awful moment below your lips. Ways I feel stuck in this. I so want it to change. I so want to change myself. On the sides, this old pain, laying deep in the core. I'm ready to let it out. Create this little escape valve for it to begin to trickle or dribble or pour or flow out of me. Wrists. This old pain. I've been carrying some of this around for such a very, very long time. Top of your head. All the charge in my nervous system. Eyebrows. All of the sadness and sorrow that's here. On the sides, all of the helplessness, the stuckness, the rage. Raging against myself, raging against God, the universe. Raging against the important people in my life. Raging against the situation in the world. underneath. And all the fear and the anxiety, these old pains, these old patterns, create an instability inside. It sometimes feels like insecurity. Sometimes it feels like aggression. But it's about not having a solid footing. In these ways, not feeling strong and firm, flexible, confident, present above your lips. All the embarrassment that might be here, the self-consciousness, kind of watching myself, trying to perhaps control myself. Criticize myself. You know, there are many ways we can have these dialogues in the moment with ourselves when we're with others, not realizing perhaps how much it disconnects us from others. And how hard it is on us. You think about the times that you feel self-conscious, you're around people, and you feel self-conscious, you feel uncomfortable, you feel a little awkward or insecure, verbally clumsy, right? Get a sense for how much energy that might take, how much of your energy gets absorbed, gets burned up in that kind of discomfort around being with others, speaking your truth to others, speaking to others. Let all that go. There's probably a good long history. Just let it go. Blow your lips. And then all the shame. And whenever we're dealing with something, I think it's safe to say that is really close to our core, shame is part of what we feel until we heal it. Of course, the less shame we feel, the more we're healing it. Or the other way around, the more we're healing it, the less shame we feel. There's also humiliation. Humiliation, somebody shaming you in front of others. Letting that go. And ridicule. You know, perhaps you've been ridiculed in front of others. Perhaps you ridicule yourself in front of others. Letting that go. Collarbones. Letting go of disappointment. Disappointment in ourselves, disappointment in others. Others not living up to our expectations, ways we're not living up to our expectations. And it breeds disappointment, which is really noxious, I think. And disappointment really is a cleaver in a way, or at least a paring knife to relationships. Relationship with ourselves and a relationship with others. But that disappointment's related to despair. It's related to discouragement, to heartbreak, to heartache. Letting go of all of that. On the sides, and letting go of the guilt and the blame, right? So all the ways we hold ourselves guilty, blame ourselves for what we did do or what we didn't do, or what we continue to do and continue not to do. Letting go of guilt for how we treated others. It's funny, we don't often have much guilt for how we treat ourselves when we don't treat ourselves well. I don't think I've ever had anybody come into my office and say, I'm feeling so guilty because of how I've been treating myself all these years. It's curious. In any case, letting go of guilt and blame. The tendency to attack, to defend, to go into protection mode as a matter of habit. Risk. So the anger at ourselves, certainly we can be angry at ourselves. Far more common. Frustration, resentment. We don't tend to resent ourselves, we tend to resent others. I think we can be equally frustrated with ourselves and others and life. Intolerant, probably equally intolerant of all those three spheres. Aversive, probably capable of being aversive to ourselves. That's a pretty high degree of fragmentation inside to experience that. So, top of your head. So releasing this disharmony in my nervous system. Eyebrows releasing sadness and sorrow. On the sides, releasing rage and fury, powerlessness. Underneath, releasing fear and anxiety and terror and dread. Above your lips, releasing embarrassment, awkwardness, self-consciousness. Below your lips, releasing shame and humiliation. Collarbones, releasing heartbreak, disappointment, despair. On the sides, releasing guilt and blame and judgment. Wrists, releasing anger, resentment, the poison of resentment out. Irritation, intolerance, aggravation. Come back to your high heart. Take a nice deep breath at the high heart. Check in with yourself. See what you notice. Now let's do another round of tapping. So bringing in harmony to my nervous system. Eyebrows. Breathing in tenderness and sweetness. On the sides, breathing in freedom and space, openness. Underneath your eyes, breathing in trust and faith, breathing in calmness, centeredness, strength. Breathing in self-confidence. Below your lips, breathing in self-love. Collarbones, breathing in strength and love, compassion. On the sides, breathing in acceptance, empathy. Wrists, breathing in peace. Breathing in a sense of okayness. It's okay. Even if maybe I don't like the way something is, I can still be okay. Breathing in love. Let's come back up here to the high heart. Breathing in love and remembrance for the difficult journey that everybody's on. There are 8 billion ways right now and counting to live this difficult journey with the kind of challenges that come our way, the kind of personality quirks we develop, the strengths we have, the challenges, the weaknesses, things we never quite learned how to do and struggle with, as well as all our gifts. We don't ever give enough credit, I think, to our gifts in a really healthy way. Mostly we don't. How much they help us balance the aspects of ourselves and our lives that don't bring us joy, don't bring us a sense of fulfillment or authenticity. To think of all the, all the beautiful things about us. And there are many, 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 many at all different levels of our being. And letting yourself open to the feeling of loving light around you, supporting you, within you, above and below you. Actually, light holding you into form, keeping you physically whole here. Love giving you boundaries of your beingness. Breathing in love. Love is in every little square molecule. Well, molecules aren't square, let me back up. Every little square centimeter and smaller of the universe. Just like there's so much energy contained in a square centimeter, a cube centimeter, of space. That cube centimeter of space is also filled with the energy of love. You might consider asking all of the parts of yourself to open up more to the experience of love in all the different ways the universe shares with us that love. And take another couple of deep breaths. Hopefully feeling yourselves strengthened and fortified, encouraged, perhaps more organized. and ready to be present to the next moments of your life. So with that, I wish you a beautiful week. I wish you love and joy, courage and strength. Connections that fill your heart. And an eye for beauty. And I will see you next week. Okay. Be well. Good night, good night, good night all. Make it a